Hi there. Welcome to Sunnyside Journals. I'm Catherine, and I have a flip through today of a journal I just recently completed, and I thought you might enjoy looking through a flip through of it with me today. So, this is a book that I actually started last July, and then because of a variety of things and distractions, I finally found it again cleaning my studio and thought this little baby has waited long enough to meet its destiny and become a beautiful junk journal. So let me tell you a bit about the original book. This book was published in 1928. So that makes it 8 years shy of being 100 years old. This book is this close to being antique. I would consider it antique. But true bluers would say, no, not yet, in 8 years. It's a lovely book. It was in a bit of sad condition. The spine, the shoulders of the spine, and the head and tail needed some work on it, which I did. I gutted it, took it apart, and refurbished it from the inside out so that I could retain this beautiful spine. Look how pretty that is. So let's take a measurement because I forget how big it is. It's quite large surface-wise. It is not quite 7 1/4 by 9 1/2. And then it's a big one. Not quite 2 inches. Boy, just shy of 2 inches. I have done a hidden hollow back spine in it, which means exactly what it sounds like. It's hollow back here, and you can't tell unless you take a look. But what that means is that this will spread open and lay nicely for you when you're writing or working in your journal. I was able to salvage the head and tail bands from this book. So those are the original head and tail bands in both ends, but then I did add a little bit of lace just for some cute, pretty detailing there. So I have put 7 signatures into this book. When I create a junk journal, I prefer lots of smaller signatures. I find that they lay nicer. I also find that it just gives for a really nice finished look. Rather than if I had like put two or three fat signatures in there. This just, for me, it looks beautiful. I got a thing about that sort of thing. So there's 184 pages of varying sizes in this book. All of the papers, laces, ribbons, everything in this book except for the glue, thread, and a bit of distress ink and a little bit of washi tape. Everything else has come from repurposed sources. So that means thrift stores, yard sales, antique shops, estate sales, church rummage sales, happy mail from other junk journalers who like to share the joy, everything. This really is a junk journal made from, I don't consider it junk, but the world might. So let's take a look inside. I was able to save the original end papers. So this is what the end paper originally was in the book, and it was still in nice condition, and I think it's just lovely. I was able to save the front page, which on the back will show you the date of publication of 1928, which is nice to have when you've got an old book like this. I will be sending along many of the original interior pages so you can continue to do what you wish with these and maybe keep making journaling cards. This was the other side of the front end papers, and this was the other side of the back end papers. So I will also be sending this little packet when it goes to its new home. So you'll notice, as ever with my style of creating junk journals, I really look to create my journals for people who do write in a journal or do collage and put things into a journal rather than it just simply being a piece of art in and of itself, which is fine. But my journals, I do hope that they actually get a new life being written in and becoming a real memory keepsake for someone. This is very old hand crocheted lace. I had to double it up on this side so that it would stay strong, but it worked out very nicely. You'll see a lot of sewing machine sewing. You'll even see some sewing machine sewing where I've created sheets of paper big enough because, as I said, this is a very big dimension. This is a big journal. Little lace snippet and button tabs on 4 of the signatures. This is from a botanical book. A little tuck spot made from an old doily, and I've already put a few things in it for you. Some vintage buttons, a journaling card from a children's picture book, tea-dyed papers. You'll be able to put those wherever you like. This is a sticker from an old vintage children's sticker book that I found. A child had, I think it's a child, had put together a book of these Danish stickers that are from the 1940s. And they're just gorgeous. And I was able to retrieve them from this book, soak them off, and give them new life. This poem was actually in the original text block of this book. And I thought it was appropriate because it's about solitude. And most of us, when we're writing in our journal, we do that in solitude. It's a personal kind of thing. Here's an original page from the original text block. Here's where you can see I've used sewing in order to create larger pages to fit into the book. These pages that I've included are actually from like a high school comprehension book, so that they could fit into binders originally. I just pulled the staples out and they were already a lovely nice color because they were old. This is from a book I have on Victorian baking, and I just think it's beautiful. I love the illustrations in it. Other side of the original textbook. A little tuck spot created from a vintage table runner. And then I had a little bit left over, so I created a journaling card from it. And that's another sticker from the Danish sticker book. And just a little handmade card that I found in one of my thrift shopping escapades. You can see here I've used washi to fortify those folds. Sometimes you need to. Another tuck spot with a pocket I've created from an illustration from the book. And then some little papers here and there to journal on. A paper ruffle made from an old dictionary page and from an old Richard Scarry book. I love this. This is from a 1950s Wonder Science book. And I just think that's gorgeous. This music is from a 1933 music book. You'll be able to see that on the other side where the Roman numerals indicate 1933. This is a page from Little House on the Prairie. I fussy cut top of one page just to create a nice journaling page here from the original book. And I did it over here as well. The other side of Little House on the Prairie with the famous Garth Williams illustrations. And I used some of a spare page from the text block to fortify that spine. Well, the fold. Here's the other side of the music, and here's where you can see it's from 1933. Another tuck spot made from an illustration from the original book with some journaling cards that you can record things on. Just random. This is an actual library catalog card, a vintage one. Index card, and then I made another journaling card from one of the original illustrations from the book, and I just added a bit of rickrack and a button, and you can journal on the back. Some more illustrations that were from the book that I fussy cut and placed in little strategic positions. Another lace tab at the top with some vintage buttons and more sewing to create larger sheets of paper. Original page from out of the book. Another tuck spot with a pocket created from one of the original illustrations. Some tea-dyed paper to journal on. A tag that I created, vintage ribbon on there, and again an illustration from the original text block, and another tag with just a lovely lady on it. I thought she was pretty. And here's a rusty old safety pin, which I like, from a bird book. This is from a 1940s art instruction book. This is also from a 1950s children's reader, and a ticket on the side used as a tab. Here's a little tuck spot that I made from the frame of a photo slide, and I just put a picture of a happy little boy in there. Now tucked behind it is a vellum envelope that I have filled with word snippets, as you can see here where it says "You silly goose." And I figured everyone enjoys the fun of word snippets in a junk journal, so I took the liberty of cutting a few out for you, and they are there for you to use. As ever, I love putting guest book spreads in my journals. So that's from an old guest book spread, and it's been tea dyed. I do all my own tea dyeing. Just some journaling spaces in a pocket that I created from a fussy cut illustration out of the original book. I thought that one turned out really pretty. Another page out of the original book. As you can see, lots and lots of journaling space. Here's a page out of the Edwardian Diary, the Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady by Edith Holden. And I've just put a little bulb pin with a little bead up here, and some lace along the edge that's been sewn in. Some more unusual page shapes and sizes, and this illustration is from the original book. This is from a 1940s gardening book. I love this book. The black and white drawings are so pretty. The center of this signature I just love. It is the migration patterns for North American birds. And that had to be, I had been saving this to go into a book that was big enough and to specifically use it as a center signature spread. And then what I've done is I've just created a little tuck spot from an old map out of a children's school atlas from the 1940s. And then it's also a tuck spot. I created that because that's the year this book was published in. So in case you're wondering and you forget, it'll be on that tag. And then this just has a little bit of a collage here that I think is pretty. In you go. Thank you. I like the way that turned out. More journaling tea-dyed papers in a pocket made from an illustration from the book. All of these pockets have also had some sewing around the edge. Just gives them a little bit more strength. Here's a paper ruffle that I created from sewing pattern tissue. Oh, here we go. The other side of the Edith Holden book. Another tab made from lace snippets and some vintage buttons. An oval lace doily. I had never seen oval ones before, and I found 2 packets on one of my thrifting expeditions last fall. This is a page out of Charlotte's Web. This door here may look familiar. That's the bedroom door to Max's bedroom from Where the Wild Things Are. I was fussy cutting, and I don't like to waste anything, and that's Max's bedroom door. Little fussy cut bird on an unusual shaped paper. This is from a really pretty garden book that I have of botanical illustrations, and the paper is just lovely. More unusual shaped papers, and this is an illustration from the original book, the My Bookhouse book that we're looking at today. The other side of Charlotte's Web. The other side of the doily. Another tuck spot here, and I've included a small piece of tea-dyed paper for journaling on, and a vintage postcard. I just liked the colors. It looked bright and cheery, and you can journal on the back. That's actually about 2 hours away from where I am right now. I can go to Niagara Falls. Well, I go all the time. Some more lace along the edge here. Another page out of that beautiful botanical book, The Art of Botanical Illustration. It's a very pretty book. Invoice paper, tea-dyed. Another original page. This interesting little last-minute thought. I always make myself a template when I start cutting the other papers that go back into a junk journal that I make. And this was the template that I used for the measurement for the pages, for the big pages. And I just thought the color was so nice. It's sort of a brownish chartreuse color. So I clipped the edges pretty, gave it a little ink, and I thought, you know what? You might as well go to your new home with the book because you helped me make the book. So that's how that ended up in the journal. Another arrangement with illustrations from the original text block, and then I've applied a tea-dyed tissue paper so you can see the writing behind it, but you can still go ahead and write on it yourself for journal entries. And same with this page. I left this page blank for you. More tea-dyed paper. The last little tab up there, and more tissue pattern piece paper frill. Another tuck spot here. This card is from a package of printable wedding invitations that I found. It wasn't this, I inked it to make it look older. It was actually pure white. So that's what you can do with ink. And here is one of my my trademark Two Nanas bookmarks that always go into my journals. That's my mother and that's my grandmother, the Two Nanas. Oddly enough, my grandchildren don't call me Nana. Grandchildren choose what they want to call you, and then you get called it and you answer it. This is also from that 1940s sketchbook. It's very pretty. A little tuck spot here with an illustration from the original book up here as well. And then I had a little fun one day, just as a little break, and just made some really pretty cards from playing cards. This one is a flash card. Just decoupaging fun. And I really love how those turned out. And if you want, when you get them, you can always cover over what I did, or else you can put writing paper on the back side if you like. I just thought they were pretty, and I needed a little break one day and do something a little different, and that's what happened. I got the inspiration from someone on Instagram, and I wish I could remember who it was because she did such a beautiful job, and I just thought, oh, I've got to try that, and I do love how they turned out. I think they're very pretty. This is another page out of the Victorian Book of Cakes. It's just really beautiful, heavy paper. It'll be great for you to collage on. Another tuck spot on the other side of that ledger paper with just a little receipt in there. It's all been tea-dyed, and another illustration from the original text block. Lots of journaling space as ever. This is it's a timetable. It's called a timeout envelope. I found these on one of my thrifting escapades. I believe it's 1987. Yes, I've tea-dyed it, and then I added these little closures, and then I got you started, and I put in some journaling paper in here, so you can tuck in here whatever you wish. Back in, there's a rusty paper clip for you as well. And then that just closes back up again like that. I like how that turned out. And it's also a tuck spot back here. Let me see if I can find a card. So if you see, I've glued it here and here, so you can also tuck back there. I have also put another rusty safety pin. It's been cleaned, don't worry, it won't hurt you. And a little puzzle piece made into a charm. And then for the back, here's the original back cover. I've done my best to clean it up and just leave it in its own beautiful glory. And then a fun little pocket that I created from this young lady in a dress with a hat at the park. I thought she looked rather cheeky. And it's a tuck spot as well. So I put some tea-dyed paper in there for you to get you started. So that is the My Bookhouse, the treasure chest. I love this handsome fellow on the front. The colors really are that beautiful and rich and warm. And there's embossing on the front, which you don't get in books anymore. So that's a rare, wonderful thing to see on a book. I really love how this book turned out, and it will be available in my Etsy shop. If you're seeing this video, it means I have listed it. So if you're interested, the link's down below. You can go over and take a look-see. And as I said, you'll get these extra pages so that you continue having fun with the insides of the Bookhouse, the treasure house. The treasure chest, pardon me. Thanks for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this flip through. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye.